Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead TV show Q&A 89. Now listen, I had so many questions from Q&A 87, I decided to do 89 and 88, and then I'm going to post 88's video on, Monday, 89's video on Tuesday. So if you asked a question in Q&A 88, I'm answering questions from 87, so don't worry if I skipped over some questions. There's still hope. I will get to those, and I'll ask them coming up in a couple days in 90, I believe. Wow, that's confusing. If you're new here, check out 88 because I did an intro message that you might want to listen. So go check that out, subscribe. Let's jump right into the questions. Tom Coppola. Do you mind how skinny Jeffrey Dean Morgan is compared to Negan? No, it bothers me. It really does. I freaking love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's another one that I got to stop watching his interviews and stuff because he's so charismatic that I end up loving him even more. And then I'm just like, when I go to criticize him, I'm like, well, I'll take it easy on him because, you know, he's cool. No, he's too skinny. Bulk up the best you can and lose that fucking beard. Personally, I don't like it, and I think he needs to bulk up a little. That's what you said. I agree with you. Bulk up, definitely. You know? Domino 12. How do you think Carol will react to Negan when she finds out someone was killed? Also, how do you think Morgan will react as well? I think Carol immediately will be wanting to get revenge and kill Negan, definitely. Some way, somehow, you know? As far as Morgan, I do believe he isn't going to be so... I don't know. He might have some change. Let's just say Morgan's going to want to put Negan in that jail cell. I mean, he built a cell perfect for situations like this, so I see Morgan pushing that idea onto Rick. Chief Johnston, how different do you think Season 7 will be from the comic without certain characters that are not around in the show versus the comic? I think there's definitely going to be some remixing, absolutely, but I do believe we're still going to get a lot of iconic comic moments in the TV show. I have faith. Moving right along, anyway. Dan X. How do you think the time jump after All Out War will play out in the TV series? I'm excited for it. Yeah, I think it fits perfect if you do it in between seasons. In the middle of a season, there is a possibility they could go for that. I don't know. I feel like it's too perfect having a good long break and then getting the time skip. Nikolai Belinsky. Which character do you like better, Daryl or Negan? That's almost impossible. Negan only had like 10 minutes of screen time. So yeah, I'm going to have to pick Daryl. You know? Negan has the most potential though. Like if you say comic Negan or Daryl, I'm going with comic Negan. There's just so much material there. I love comic Negan so damn much. You know what I mean? Just some guy. Hey Ronnie, where do you see Daryl's character going in the future? That's a little difficult. It's kind of a hard one to answer in a Q&A right off the top of my head, but I would have to stick with him dying in All Out War. And that's a hard one because I feel like Darryl, the actor playing Darryl, has built such a connection with the people, such a good friendship with the people at AMC, with the directors, the writers, the producers. At this time, I don't think he's ever going to die. I think it fits, you know, the best in All Out War, but I just think he's not going anywhere. So, if you don't like Daryl or if you're sick of Daryl, I think you might be stuck with him. For the fans that say, you know, I believe Daryl Dixon is, you know, taking away too much story from certain characters like Abraham or Tyrese or Jesus or this person or that person. You know, in all honesty, I completely understand. I see what you mean, definitely. With me, it's a little different, though, because I can see what you mean, I can pick it out sometimes, and I can speak out against it at times, too, and I have in the past. But I'm such a fan of Norman Reedus since Boondock Saints that at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, when criticizing it is over, I can sit down and I can enjoy the shit out of his performance as Daryl Dixon. Except for the time with We Are the Walking Dead. I will never forgive you for that. Moving along. Mary Hugh, or Who. I hope that's how you say it. Ronnie, do you think Eugene and Rosita will end up together and get close to their comic counterpart stories? I can't really see Eugene and Rosita together. You know what? This is a slightly difficult answer because they've made Rosita, in my opinion, really different compared to how she acts emotionally, really different to the comic Rosita. I see a lot of differences. It might just be me, but I don't see those two getting together in that aspect. I don't know. They might grow a bond, like a friendship, or they might just remix Rosita hooking up with a different character and keep a similar storyline. I could see that before I could see her and Eugene getting together. At this point, Bobo Enthese, I don't know how to say that name. Ronnie, will we get another trailer for season 7? If so, when? No, I don't believe we're going to get one because they need to be very careful about what they show. But after the premiere, yeah, I definitely think we will get another mini trailer after the premiere, because then the death is over and they can show us, an official trailer now. Kirsten Hilton, what do you think are the biggest missed opportunities in the show story-wise? The governor in season 3, I think they made him too made for TV, as far as it was too safe. I just don't think it stretched the boundaries of how really demented he can be. Again, I stand by season 4 of The Governor. I think they turned it around. They humanized him in a way that is very, very different from the comic book, yet circled back around to line up with the comic book to almost perfection. I will always praise season 4, what they did with the Governor, because again, it's so very different from the comic book Governor, yet the story synchronized so perfectly with the comic book story that, man, just perfect. I love it. I see some complaints, but I love that. I love it. I love it a lot. T. Deanna lives on. I think that's what it is. Do you think Jesus should show us his mixed martial arts skills in season 7? Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get that because we saw it in the trailer, but I do believe that the actor Tom Payne is talking about training in Jeet Kune Do. A couple other things, but I think he said Jeet Kune Do. And I trained in that for a little while when I was younger. Jeet Kune Do is the martial arts style created by Bruce Lee, which I think that's awesome. I'm very excited for that. So, yeah, I would say we're going to see that. Lorenzo Queen, 1984. What story do you think Sasha could have if she survives? Do you think if Abe dies, she could have Holly's story? I could see her kicking Rick in the dick to die. She's like that. Yeah, I could see Sasha doing that. But I feel like that's a throwaway for her, to build her up this much as far as Sasha on the show and give her that moment. It feels a little weak. They could do it. They definitely could. But at this time, I don't think it fits. The Walking Dead fan made. Do you think that Ezekiel will have a relationship in the show? If so, with who? Yeah, I'm up in the air with this. I don't believe Ezekiel needs one as far as a romantic relationship, but there are some possibilities. It might work with Carol, but Tobin has to die first. If Tobin dies early on in the beginning of season 7, then yes, I will lean more towards Carol or even somebody else. They could give us a big surprise, They could add in a new character that is new to us and new to Ezekiel at the same time. That might work. Mac Roba. There's no way I'm getting that name right. If Glenn survives the season 7 premiere, how do you think he'll die? That's tough, because if they follow the story pretty decent from the comic book, we really shouldn't have a lot of conflict in that way with our survivors and Negan and the Saviors until towards the end of the season. So it's real tough. He could die on a run, but then is that a cheap way for him to die? I'm going to have to go with possibly All Out War. I'm pushing a lot of the deaths to All Out War because I feel like, it could use some really epic moments if it's going to be a full season. No one asks, do you think if it's Abe that gets whacked by Negan, he will scream Sasha's name the way Glenn screamed Maggie's in the comic? No, I just don't see him doing that. He could. I just don't see it. He might. You know what? Yeah, I think he'll scream, Deanna! Edward Mazzarigo? Man, I suck at these names. Will Carl turn into a maniac like Rick? And if so, do you think they could do it well? I don't see Rick as a maniac, not at all. Listen, I think they're going to have some really interesting story coming with Carl. Some really interesting story. And he's definitely going to kill people. But I disagree with the maniac part. Hemi30, do you think we'll see Negan's multiple wives on the TV show? It doesn't look like it from the trailer. Well, they didn't show a group of wives, a group of women, but I do believe he will have multiple wives, definitely. Because we did see Dwight's wife, so that's a hint that, and Dwight's burnt face, you know, I don't think they're gonna condense that or give it a new meaning as far as Dwight having his burnt face. So Dwight has his burnt face. In the trailer, it did look like Dwight and his wife were talking on the down low. They weren't around anyone. It was a dark stairwell, maybe hinting that, you know, his wives are up on an upper floor, keeping them away from the general population of people, of civilians. That's possible. I can imagine, I could picture Negan having an area where you go up to Negan's penthouse, so to speak, and he has, you know, everything he can have up there as far as living comfortably. That way his wives, imagine being one of his wives though, like, they're not forced into this. They pick this. They choose this. They can't live down there. It's too rough. You know what I mean? They just can't handle it. So what they do is they offer to be a wife to Negan, whatever that entails. They live in this area that's done really nice from what small glimpse we could see in the comic. It's probably really clean. It's probably whatever. I'm sure there's some windows or something to look out on. I don't know if it's going to be as tall as it is in the comic, but let's say they're a few floors up. They could look out knowing that the first floor is all the general stuff, all the people, all the workers, everything else, you know. It's hustle and bustle, people trading and all that other shit. It's dirty, it's grimy, there's probably people who haven't bathed in forever. That's just all whatever. You have that on the ground floor, and then a few floors up you have this nice environment, clean environment, whatever. Women dressed all sexy or maybe even in regular dresses. Just really stark, you know, difference between the top and the bottom. And they can look out at this dead world that's out there, knowing that you got the hustle bustle down below. You have this whole world that's dead. Around the fence is barbed wire. It's a perimeter with, you know, zombie bits and pieces and creating like a zombie home security system. So that's probably pretty messed up, because what do they do at that point? Do they throw it all away? Do they stop being Negan's wife? I mean, I don't know. It's like they box themselves in with no other options. Because again, I've seen some TV fans get this mixed up where they think that Negan forces those women to live up in that tower and to walk around like, you know, Playboy playmates, and that's not true at all. Hating on Negan and calling Negan like partially a rapist for having his set up the way it is, it's extremely way off base, at least in my opinion. That would be the same as calling, you know, Hugh Hefner a rapist, even though, yeah, the age difference, forget about for this moment. You know what I mean? Because Negan and his wives, he doesn't have that Hugh Hefner whatever age difference, but it's like saying that the women who decide to live in the Playboy bunny house or the Playboy mansion, it's like saying that they're victims somehow. They're not victims at all. It's the same thing with Negan's wives. They're not victims. They're victims of their poor surroundings. You know what I mean? Anyway, leave your thoughts, theories, opinions, suggestions, and new questions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. I see the battery dying, so I had to make it quick. You know, so ask away. I'm out of here.
Subscribe now.